So for this recipe of simple sourdough bread, you will need 5 cups of bread flour and then 1 cup of other flour. That can be multi-purpose flour, cake flour. In this one, I've actually added a little bit of almond flour, half a cup of almond flour, half a cup of all-purpose flour, together with 1 tablespoon of salt, which you'll sift together before adding your starter. So once you've sifted your flours together, make a little well in the middle to pour your 1 cup of starter and 2 cups of water, which I've already had set aside here on the counter. Here is my starter, nice and bubbly. I'm just going to give it a little stir before I measure off 1 cup of the starter. 1 cup of starter going into the well of flour. And then I like to just put the water into my cup just to get the rest of what might be in that little measuring cup. Okay, so I've added the water along with the starter and with my flour mixture, and now I'm just going to stir it. I like to use my handy dandy Cutco spatula, compliments of my son-in-law, Andy Burton, who's been selling Cutco since he was in college. And I'm just going to stir that together, the fluids, the liquids, with the flours and the salt. So that literally took me about a minute to stir it together into a rough ball. Now I will cover it with saran wrap and just leave it in the kitchen for 24 hours. I can actually start using it at 18 hours, but I like to do as close to 24 hours as possible. Okay, I have it covered with saran wrap. Now I'm just going to cover it up and put it to sleep for the next 24 hours or so. Okay, so the dough has been resting for about 22 hours. And let's see how it looks. Oh yes, it's risen nicely. Now one of the things I didn't mention is that you can either do the saran wrap or the cloth. You don't have to do both. I like to do both. We have animals. I want to be sure that there's not any other things in the dough here. So I put the saran wrap on and then I just cover it up with the towel. But you don't have to do both. You can just do one. So we are going to scoop that out onto our dusted pastry sheet, which is over here. Got it all ready to go. This actually is Tupperware. I've had this for, gosh, about 18 years. You can see the date on it here, 1992. And I just love it. They don't make it anymore, but I've dusted it very good so that the dough won't stick to it. And I will just show you how I'm going to work that real quick. So I like to work the dough with a spatula, just lifting it and folding it, scraping it and lifting and folding it, because sourdough bread dough can tend to be very, very sticky. So I just like to do this until I can incorporate some more flour into it, just taking it from the ends and folding it into the middle, and then I'll get my hands into it and knead it up. You can't over knead it. It just puts a lot of air in it, so that's good. So I will come back to you. So I've placed my dough in the bowl, and now I'm just going to cover it up loosely. This is a little tea towel that my friend made for me, my friend Jean, and it just works perfect for this. And that's going to sit for 2 hours. So we have about 30 more minutes to let the bread rise, and in that 30 minutes we're going to preheat the oven to 475. 475 start. And we're actually going to put our Dutch oven into the oven so that it preheats also for 30 minutes. Okay, it's been 2 hours. The bread is finished rising. Let's see how it looks. Oh, it looks good. It's ready to go. The oven is preheated. And what we are going to do is we are going to take some parchment paper. We're going to put it over the top of this bowl and then cover that with a pie plate and then flip it over so it's on top of the parchment paper. Okay, so we flipped it over. Now we're going to take off our towel. Kind of in a little bowl so that it kind of keeps its shape better that way. Dust it a little more, and then we're going to put some score lines in it so that when it rises, it'll have some nice pretty designs. It's in the pan. We just put the lid on. Don't worry about the parchment paper. It doesn't burn. It cooks well. We'll toss it in the oven. Okay, let's see how it's doing. Voila. Oh, it's beautiful. We'll leave the lid off for about 5 minutes so it gets nice and brown. Goodness, look at this beautiful loaf of sourdough bread. Everyone comes out a little bit different. So pretty and fresh. It's going to be so good. This one is for my friend Laura. The hardest part of sourdough bread making is this very, very last step. And that is waiting for 1 hour for it to cool. Ideally 2 to 6 hours, but if you just can't wait, 1 hour is enough. That's what it needs to continue the process, so it won't be spongy, it'll be delicious, warm, and delightful.